Right, well, on the line, I have a certain gentleman from Basingstoke who's a regular caller to the show. It's John. John, are you there?
I am indeed, Mark. Good to speak to you again. John Ash with an E from Basingstoke. Good to speak to you again, my man.
Good to speak to you too, John. Now, I understand you're phoning up with a burning issue you'd like to talk about.
Well, not really a burning issue, but you know there's this business of having a new car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my wife is considering having a hybrid car, and I'm not considering having such a car at all.
Oh, right. Okay. What's your beef against hybrid cars, John?
Well, I don't like them very much. I'm not convinced by them. There's all this business of having electric cars, isn't there, and having petrol cars and diesel cars, and then there's this sort of thing in between called a hybrid car. And it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. I've looked into it a great deal, and I'm not convinced. There's a lot of, public relations out there and advertising trying to persuade you, and they have been for years, to get one of these hybrid cars. I'm not convinced by any of their arguments at all.
What's the because it seems like it's good for the environment, doesn't it? You can power it up, you can plug it in, and it powers up overnight, and it doesn't use much electricity, and it saves the planet. Sounds good to me.
Does it? It saves the planet, does it? I'm not quite sure how it's supposed to do that. But I mean, I don't see why, even if the argument is that it does save the planet, then how does it save the planet more than an electric car, for example? So, if you're bothering to try and save the planet, you go the whole hog.
Right.
This is not the whole hog. This is kind of a half hog.
True, a half hog. I mean, a half hog hybrid car. So, what is hybrid is, my understanding, it's sort of hybrid is a mix of, is it petrol and electricity or something? They don't really go together, do they?
No, it seems extremely dangerous to me to mix both of those together, and that's one of my objections to it. If you're actually putting electricity into the petrol tank, then that strikes me as an extremely dangerous thing to do. And of course, I'm somebody who has studied chemistry and physics. I have told you that I was a quantities fair, haven't I?
Yes, I believe you have, John. On one or two occasions, you have mentioned that.
Oh, okay. Well, you see, therefore, my scientific training does tell me that it's not really a good idea to mix the two. I mean, basically, you'd be driving along with a bomb. Now, why my wife wants to drive along with a bomb, I haven't the faintest idea, but there we are.
I mean, I'm assuming that the electricity goes in a different place to the petrol, I'm guessing. Otherwise, as you say, it would be quite a dangerous thing, wouldn't it?
Well, you see, there we are, you're guessing. And most people are guessing, but when you actually look at the specifications carefully, you find that actually that's not the case.
Oh, right, okay. So, yeah, all right. So you wouldn't be getting a hybrid car at all, and you'd go straight for an electric car, which I guess is safe because you're just putting electricity in it, and there's no petrol or anything likely to catch fire.
Well, this is probably why this bone of contention has arisen in our family, because my wife would like to save the planet, and so she'd like to have an electric car, which I don't want to save the planet anyway. And I'd like to have, well, not a diesel, they're a bit fumey, aren't they? But I like to just stick to having a petrol car, you see. And so the compromise, as far as my wife is concerned, is that we should have a hybrid.
Right.
So it's a kind of mixture of the two, but I think it's extremely dangerous. That's all I can say.
Couldn't you?
And of course the batteries you have to order online when they run out. And, I don't like the idea of going to a petrol station with a bomb. I could be arrested for that.
What about having, say, you stick with a petrol car and your wife has her electric car, which seems to be basically the same as having one car with both?
Well, I get the point, but then you've got to have two cars, haven't you? And then everything gets extremely expensive.
Right.
I mean, the hybrid cars are expensive, but then electric cars are expensive, so So, the idea is to get one that will be just one car and combine both, and we would just be living on a kind of bivalent missile, and I don't like the idea of that at all.
No, not in Basingstoke, or anywhere, I suppose, in fact.
Well, worse in Basingstoke, actually, I think.
Right.
Because the traffic police... And by the way, they call them traffic cops, don't they, in America?
Right, yes.
The traffic cops, I want to be a bit street about this, are on the street, and they're looking out for dangerous things.
Yep.
They've been a little bit on the ball recently around here. So it's the worst place to have a traffic bomb in the centre of Basingstoke.
So traffic cops in the Stoke, as they say.
Absolutely, that's right.
Right, so, okay, well, look, let us know how you get on with whatever you buy. I have heard, actually, I mean, this could be just a rumour, that they're having to rethink multi-storey car parks in light of hybrid cars, because they're so heavy. They're so heavy that they actually, once you get all the cars on the floor, they're actually too heavy for floors. You probably know a bit about that, being a quantity surveyor.
I'm extremely interested to hear that, and I shall look into that in great detail. No, until you said that, I did not know that, but it doesn't surprise me, because they, of course, they are extra heavy. You're carrying around 2 engines. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why not make it 3 engines? Why not make it a hybrid extra, with diesel?
Yeah.
Why not do that? I want to have every possible... I mean, they're talking about hydrogen cars as well, so you might as well have several engines in one car. And I remember watching a program way back in the 1970s, which was, I think it was called Survivors, and people were running their cars off chicken manure. So, I mean, why not have an engine that's based on that as well? And you could have 10, 12, any number of engines in one car. What a waste of space, what a waste of money, and what a waste of weight on places like car parks.
It's certainly, I mean, yeah. I mean, you've got your petrol, your diesel, as you say, your chicken poo, let's say, shall we? I mean, it'd be easier, wouldn't it, to have a chicken in the car with you rather than save the engine, perhaps. That would cut down on perhaps one of the engines.
That's very true. But we already do have a chicken in the car.
Sorry, John, you say you have a chicken in the car?
We do. We keep a chicken in the car. And the reason for that... actually, I'm not going to tell you the reason. You haven't asked me why. I don't see why I should divulge. But we do have a chicken in the car, and so it would be a very slight modification with a tube, perhaps, to, make that happen.
And I suppose that wouldn't add too much weight, would it, a chicken? When you consider the heaviness of the car already, with like sort of 10 engines inside already, a chicken...
Well, if you consider, it wouldn't add the weight of the chicken because we already have the chicken.
Right.
But I suppose it would add the weight of the tube from the chicken to the engine, the chicken engine. Because it'd have to be another engine, wouldn't it? Because, I mean, it's not going to be the same as petrol.
Yeah.
No. By the way, can you say poo on your programme? I wasn't quite sure, but you are in a hospital, so I suppose that should be okay.
Yeah, I've just said it, and I think we've got away with it. So you could say it too if you want, John.
Poo. There we are.
Okay. Right, so look, let us know, as I say, what you're going to buy. I guess, are you still discussing the issue with your wife, or have you more or less decided that you're going to have to compromise and get a hybrid?
No, I'm still discussing it. In fact, I've just texted my wife, who's out shopping at the moment, and I've said, do we really want a car with 14 engines? And she's just replied with a question mark. So I think, yes. And when she just replies with a question mark, I think there might be an argument later on. I mean, I think she's probably thinking, what on earth is he talking about? But there we are. You see, she's not scientifically trained.
Well, I expect when she comes home, you can discuss it with her, and she will see your point, John, I suppose. Put it like that.
No, she won't. We'll be getting a hybrid car. There's not much I can do about it. But I can, I can research and I can complain, and there we are.
Okay. Well, look, John.
That's marriage, isn't it, Mark? That's marriage.
What, researching and complaining?
No. I mean, just ending up with what the woman wants at the end of the day.
Well, perhaps some of our listeners...
unless it turns out to be what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
You get the picture.
Yeah, I get. Well, I suppose as long as one of you gets what they want. The problem the problem is with neither of you gets what you want, and you think you want what the other person wants. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Sometimes my wife gets what she wants. Sometimes I get what I want. Sometimes we get what we both want, and that's marriage, isn't it, Mark? See the problem? That is quite a problem. It's a problem. Well, sometimes it's a problem when I don't get what I want, anyway.
Well, look, John, do let us know in how it goes. Give us a call at a future date. And in the meantime, perhaps you'd like to suggest a record we can play for you.
Yes, I would like something by the group called Hybrid. I know nothing about them at all, although I do understand that they write quite a lot of film music and music for games and that sort of thing, which is pretty reprehensible, I think. But I would like something by them simply because we've been talking about hybridness. So please choose something that you like. And I would also like to add, by the way, before we close, that there are no birds on any islands, just to keep that message straight. Okay, because I wasn't convinced by your bird man. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. So
for listeners, perhaps new listeners, this is a conversation I think you had a few weeks ago with our resident bird expert, Jerry Brown, because you'd been to the Isle of Wight, if I remember correctly, and hadn't seen a single bird.
No, I hadn't, and I haven't seen a single bird, even on the Isle of Mull. So although he's an expert, he doesn't know what he's talking about with regard to this particular matter.
Right.
Sorry to bring that up again, Mark, but I like to keep things straight,
Well, perhaps we'll have you and Jerry on again sometime, thrashing it out, as it were, metaphorically, on a future edition. How's that?
Oh, that would be marvellous, yes. I'm always keen to teach people, yes.
Right. Okay, John, well, we'll play something by Hybrid. You'll let me choose something, will you?
Absolutely. I trust you implicitly, Mark.
Thank you very much, John. Would you like to give a shout out to the record before we play it?
Yes, could I have a shout out to Molly this week, please? She has, as far as I know anyway, she has a hybrid car. So I suppose, no, perhaps I shouldn't. She might be upset by this. Can I choose Maud then, please, this week?
Yep. She doesn't have a hybrid car.
I think she does, actually. So let's just make it Maud and Molly, and if they get upset,
right,
they do.
Right,
they can ring me up and I'll thrash it out.
Okay. All right, John. Well, it's lovely to speak to you as ever. And we will get something on by this group called Hybrid. Now, presumably, this is a group that you didn't dance to as a young man because you haven't listened to anything by Hybrid before.
That is correct. They also weren't around at the time when I was a young man. They're quite a modern group. Although, as I say, I actually don't know anything about them at all.
Right. Okay, John. Right. Well, we'll find something on the virtual turntable for you, and we'll get that on, and it can be a surprise for you as much as it is for me. How's that?
Well, I suppose that's true. Yes, that's fine. Yes, yes, I'd like to be surprised. That's wonderful. So thank you very much for allowing me to phone into your program again. Always enjoy it, Mark. It's a great show. You're a wonderful chap. And of course, it was great to speak to your mother the other week. So thanks very much, Mark. Bye.
You're welcome, John. Thank you very much. Lovely as ever to speak to you. Cheerio, John.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Bye.
Darren's Valley's radio station.